The story begins with Lila, an English teacher trying to rebuild her life after years of pain. Her marriage had been abusive, and although she finally found the courage to divorce her husband, freedom did not erase the damage he left behind. Hoping that distance might help her heal, she moves to a new town and accepts a position at a local high school. On her first morning, the principal welcomes her, introduces her to the history teacher, and gives her a tour of the campus. Lila smiles politely, but beneath the calm expression is a woman still carrying loneliness, fear, and the belief that happiness may no longer be meant for her. Elsewhere, we meet Jason, a 19-year-old student living with his parents, younger sister, and older brother. The family survives on a limited income, and money is always a source of tension. Jason's older brother once tried to solve their problems by selling drugs, but he was arrested and sent to prison. Since then, Jason's parents have constantly warned him not to make the same choices. They want him to focus on school and build a better future. Unfortunately, Jason has never been academically strong. He has been expelled from several schools, regularly skips class, and spends most of his time with friends who encourage reckless behavior. The pressure at home makes everything worse. Jason worries that his little sister may have to leave school because the family cannot afford her tuition. Believing he has no better option, he secretly begins selling drugs himself. He tells himself the money is for his sister, but each deal pulls him closer to the same path that destroyed his brother's future. Jason is one of the students in Lila's class. He always chooses the last desk, rarely opens his books, and seems completely disconnected from every lesson. Lila notices him, but she does not immediately understand what lies behind his behavior. During lunch, Andrew, the school's gym teacher, approaches her and compliments her teaching style. He is friendly and confident, and their conversation remains casual. That evening, Lila calls her mother. Although she tries to sound positive about the new job, her voice reveals how isolated she feels living far from everyone she knows. The following day, Jason approaches Lila after class and asks for help with an essay. The assignment requires him to write about himself, but he claims there is nothing worth sharing. Lila gently tells him that whatever he reveals will remain private and that understanding her students helps her teach them more effectively. Jason still refuses to open up and walks away. The history teacher sees the exchange and tells Lila that students like Jason are hopeless. Lila disagrees. She says her responsibility is to teach every student, especially the ones everyone else has already given up on. Lila reviews Jason's school file and discovers a pattern of poor grades, disciplinary problems, and repeated transfers. Instead of writing him off, she decides to give him extra attention. Soon afterward, the class presents original poems. When Jason's turn arrives, he reluctantly stands and reads something raw, honest, and filled with pain. His voice shakes, but the words reveal intelligence and emotional depth no teacher has noticed before. Lila praises him after class, telling him the poem is exceptional and that his grades could improve if he gave his studies the same focus. Jason is surprised. He is not used to adults seeing potential in him, and her encouragement gives him a sense of hope. A few days later, Andrew invites Lila to a pub. She hesitates, but eventually agrees because she needs a break from her quiet routine. That night, she drinks, dances, and allows herself to feel carefree for the first time in years. Jason happens to be at the same place with his friends. Seeing his usually serious teacher laughing and enjoying herself changes the way he looks at her. He becomes curious about the woman behind the classroom role and starts imagining what it would be like to know her personally. The next day, Lila catches Jason skipping class. When he returns, she warns him that she will not tolerate it again. She offers to stay after school for 30 minutes each day and tutor him privately. Jason agrees. During these lessons, his work slowly improves, but his feelings also begin to change. He becomes captivated by her patience, her voice, and the way she refuses to judge him. Lila sees only a troubled student who needs guidance, while Jason starts seeing someone who understands him better than anyone else. One rainy evening, Jason appears at Lila's door with a bleeding nose and bruises covering his face. Shocked, she lets him inside. He claims he was involved in a minor fight and only needs a place to clean himself before going home. Lila suspects there is more to the story, but he avoids her questions. When he prepares to leave, she refuses to let him walk through the rain and offers to drive him. On the way, Lila asks about his family, but Jason quickly shuts down. Instead of going directly home, He guides her to a hill overlooking the city. The lights below create a peaceful view. Jason admits that he saw her dancing at the pub and asks her to teach him. He uses the request as an excuse to move closer. For a brief second, the emotional tension between them becomes impossible to ignore. Lila pulls away and firmly reminds him that she is his teacher and he is her student. She says the boundary can never be crossed again. Still, as she drives away, she realizes the connection unsettled her because part of her felt it too. Jason's grades continue improving. His mother sees the results and is thrilled. When she asks what changed, he credits his new English teacher. Meanwhile, Jason spends more time looking through Lila's social media photos, and his admiration grows into obsession. Another evening, Lila meets Andrew at the pub. Jason is there again and watches from a distance. Andrew begins asking intrusive questions about Lila's marriage, divorce, and former husband. The conversation makes her visibly uncomfortable, so she excuses herself and heads toward the restroom. Jason follows. When she steps outside, he impulsively kisses her. Lila is shocked, but for a moment she kisses him back. Then reality returns. She pulls away, frightened by what just happened, and tells Andrew that her mother is ill so she can leave. Jason later arrives at Lila's home, asking for a chance to apologize and explain himself. She initially refuses to open the door, but he keeps pleading. Once inside, he confesses that his feelings are real. Lila lies and says she feels nothing for him. Jason asks why she returned his kiss if that is true. She calls it a mistake. The tension rises, and he kisses her again. This time, Lila does not stop him. Her loneliness, unresolved trauma, and need for affection overpower her judgment. They begin a secret relationship, even though Lila knows the imbalance and professional consequences make it deeply inappropriate. She tells Jason nobody can ever know. Jason promises to protect the secret. Later, he meets the men supplying him with drugs, and they pressure him to distribute larger quantities. His hidden criminal life continues even as his academic life improves. At school, the history teacher tells Lila that she has feelings for Andrew and warns her not to interfere. During an extra lesson, Jason tries to kiss Lila, but she stops him, reminding him they cannot behave that way where someone might see. He gives her a necklace, and despite her fear, the gesture makes her happy. That night, Lila calls her mother and admits she has feelings for someone younger. Without knowing the full situation, her mother encourages her to choose whoever makes her feel loved and safe. The next day, Lila and Jason spend time together near a lake. Jason takes photographs of her and asks why she moved away. Lila finally describes the abuse she suffered during her marriage. Jason is deeply affected and promises he will never hurt her. Later, while Jason is showering, his mother checks his phone and discovers the photographs. At the upcoming parent-teacher meeting, she sees Lila and immediately understands the nature of their relationship. She confronts her in private, accusing her of distracting and exploiting her son. She orders Lila to stay away from him. The principal notices the mother leaving angrily, but Lila lies and says she was simply in a hurry. The history teacher also witnesses the tension and begins suspecting the truth. At home, Jason's mother confronts him. He openly admits that he loves Lila. His mother is furious and insists the relationship must end. Jason argues that Lila is not using him, but the fight escalates until he storms out. At the same time, Lila tells her own mother that the younger man is actually one of her students. Her mother's reaction changes immediately. She calls the relationship unacceptable and urges Lila to stop before lives are destroyed. Jason then arrives, and Lila angrily asks why he hid the fact that his mother knew. He explains that he only found out that day. Lila tells him to leave, warning that discovery could lead to his expulsion and the end of her career. Jason returns later with flowers and an apology. Lila forgives him, and they spend the night together. The following morning, they discuss how quickly the secret is collapsing. Jason says he has saved money and suggests they run away. Lila refuses because she knows escaping will not solve the damage they have created. The next day at school, Jason grabs Lila's hand while speaking to her. Andrew sees the interaction and finally understands what has been happening. That evening, while Lila is working late, Andrew corners and sexually assaults her. She returns home traumatized and tells Jason what happened. Jason demands that she report Andrew, but Lila explains that Andrew threatened to expose their relationship if she went to the police. When Jason sees Andrew at school the next morning, he loses control and attacks him. Police arrive and take Jason into custody. Lila waits outside the station until Jason's mother comes and secures his release. She once again blames Lila and orders her to stay away from her son. Lila refuses to let Andrew escape responsibility. She confronts him and claims that the school's security cameras recorded what he did. She threatens to report him unless he drops the assault case against Jason. Afraid of the consequences, Andrew withdraws the complaint. Jason later visits Lila, hoping they can finally plan a future. Instead, she tells him she is leaving town alone. She says their relationship was wrong from the beginning and continuing it will only destroy both of them. Jason begs her to reconsider, but she insists that he forget her, return to school, and build a life beyond the mistakes surrounding them. Jason breaks down and returns home, where he cries in his mother's arms. For all her anger, she comforts him as he mourns the relationship. Lila packs her belongings and leaves the city, carrying the pain of another ending but accepting that walking away is the only responsible choice left. The story presents Jason and Lila as two damaged people who mistake emotional rescue for a healthy relationship. Jason sees Lila as the first adult who believes in him, while Lila sees Jason as someone who offers affection without the cruelty she experienced in marriage. Their feelings may be sincere, but sincerity cannot erase the teacher-student power imbalance, the secrecy, or the risks to Jason's education and Lila's professional responsibility. What feels like love becomes tangled with dependency, trauma, fear, and poor judgment. Andrew's role also exposes another layer of the story. He presents himself as supportive, friendly, and respectful until jealousy and entitlement reveal something far darker. His assault is entirely his responsibility, and Lila's inappropriate relationship with Jason does not excuse what he does to her. At the same time, Andrew understands that Lila's secret makes her vulnerable, so he uses the threat of exposure to silence her. This shows how secrecy can trap people inside dangerous situations. Because Lila already fears losing her job and reputation, she feels unable to seek help when she needs it most. The history teacher's suspicions, Jason's mother's anger, and the principal's questions all show that the relationship cannot remain hidden forever. Every lie creates another lie, and every attempt to protect the secret increases the pressure surrounding them. Jason believes running away would solve everything because he is young, frightened, and desperate to keep the first person who made him feel valuable. Lila understands that changing cities would not remove the legal, emotional, or professional consequences. Their problems would travel with them. The ending is therefore not a romantic defeat, but a necessary separation. Lila must confront her trauma without depending on a student, while Jason must learn to build confidence through education, family, and honest choices. Only then can either of them eventually enter a relationship based on equality rather than rescue and mutual respect, maturity, safety, trust, and accountability. Jason's family pressures also explain, though they do not excuse, his dangerous decisions. He wants to protect his sister and prove he is not a failure, but drug dealing places his entire family at greater risk. Lila's encouragement reveals that he has talent and the ability to change, yet he repeatedly chooses immediate emotional reactions over long-term consequences. Lila's final departure is painful, but it is the first decision she makes based on responsibility rather than loneliness. She cannot undo what happened, but she can stop causing further harm. Jason is left heartbroken, though he is also given the opportunity to rebuild his life without depending on a relationship that could never remain safe or equal. The film ends by asking viewers what they would have done in Jason's position. Would they have run away with Lila, or accepted the breakup and tried to begin again? Whatever the answer, the story makes one point clear. Love cannot become healthy simply because two people feel strongly. It also requires boundaries, accountability, timing, and choices that do not destroy the futures of the people involved.